have a very alarming story for you today. This comes out of Germany. It says, for this post on X in Germany, police raided the poster's home, seized his phone, took his biometrics, demanded his DNA, and warned that he's now under police surveillance. This was the post. No, every person who is financed by the state pays no net taxes. They live off taxes. Every civil servant, every politician, every employee in a state-owned company, everyone who is subsidized and financed by the state, not a single parasite pays any net taxes. We can't say we disagree with the fact that most politicians, most people working for the state do in fact behave like parasites, especially these days, not answering to their constituents and doing God knows what with our taxpayer money. But apparently that was a reason to turn this X post into a police raid at dawn. This comes to us from reclaimthenet.org. It says that the story starts with a tweet that barely registered on the internet. A few hundred views, a handful of likes, and the kind of blunt libertarian framing that is common on X every hour of every day. Yet in Germany, that tiny post triggered a 6 a.m. police raid, a forced phone handover, biometric collection, and a warning that the author was now under surveillance. The thing to understand is that this story, first reported by Germany outlet Apollo, only makes sense once you see the sequence of events in order. So let's go through those events. The story goes like this. A man in Germany, known publicly only as Damien N., posts a short comment on X calling government-funded workers parasites. The post is tiny. At the time that he was raided, it had roughly 100 views. Even now, it only has a few hundred. Despite the post's obscurity, police arrive at Damien's home at 6 in the morning. He says they did not show him the warrant and did not leave documentation of what they seized. Police pressured him to unlock his phone, confiscated it, took photos, fingerprints, and other biometric data, and even requested a blood sample for DNA. One officer reportedly warned him to think about what you post in the future and said he is now under surveillance. The entire action was justified under Section 130 of the German Criminal Code, which is meant to prohibit inciting hatred against protected groups. So now people that work, that our tax dollars pay for, are protected groups. Well, they certainly behave like it. Government employees are certainly not such a group, which makes the legal theory tenuous at best. Damien's lawyer says the identification procedures and possibly the raid itself were illegal. That's the sequence. A low visibility political insult becomes a criminal investigation involving home searches, device seizure, and biometric collection. The thing to understand is that this is not about one man's post. It is about a bureaucracy that treats speech as something to manage and a set of enforcement structures that expand to fill the space they are given. Start with the enforcement context. Germany has built a sprawling ecosystem around online hate. Specialized prosecutor units, NGO tip lines, and automated scanning for taboo keywords. The model is compliance first and legal theory second. Once you create an apparatus like this, it behaves the way bureaucracies behave. It looks for work. It justifies resources by producing cases. A tiny X post with inflammatory language becomes a target because it contains the right keyword, not because it has societal impact. Police behavior fits the same pattern. Confiscating phones is strategically useful because it imposes real pain without requiring a conviction. And the article goes on, early morning raids create psychological pressure. Collecting biometrics raises the stakes further. None of this is about public safety. It's about creating friction for saying the wrong thing. And the legal mismatch is the tell. Section 130 protects groups defined by national, racial, religious, or ethnic identity. There's also the privacy angle, which becomes impossible to ignore. Device access, biometrics, DNA requests. These are investigative tools built for serious crimes. Deploying them against minor online speech means the line between public safety policing and opinion policing has already been crossed. Once a state normalizes surveillance as a response to expression, the hard part becomes restoring restraint. This trend is clearly on the rise. The government in the UK has no problem whatsoever clearing out prisons of actual criminals to make room for speech criminals. If you can't criticize the people whose wages are paid by your taxes, aka your employees, then you're facing a mutiny. A mutiny that demands your literal blood in response to daring to exercise the human right of free speech. This is clearly an escalation that is beyond anything that Orwell could have conceived, and yet we are living through it. And, as is always the case, if one country gets away with these types of things, it spreads to every country because the aim is tyranny worldwide. People across every single country cannot allow these tyrants to strip our humanity from us like this.